What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you're going to enjoy it. Today we're going to do something pretty simple. We're going to be moving all the guards from this frame into this one, and some of you may have already recognized it. This is the Lumenier QAV-S JB edition, $70 frame. And this one, you may not know it, this is the UAV classic frame. I have this frame for over a year. I already posted a video about this frame. I'll put a link to that frame if you want to check it out. Pretty beat up, as you can see. Actually, I have already delaminated one of the arm, but it's been a pretty good frame for only $35. I don't know how many times I crash it. I don't know how many batteries I have on it. This is my go-to quad. This is my practice quad every time I want to fly, every time I want to learn something. So I have a lot of crashers on it, and the quad's still holding up pretty good. $35. If you want to get it now, you cannot get it anymore because they don't make this frame anymore. Very basic classic frame. You got a bottom plate, you got some 6mm arm, so pretty thick arm. You got a middle plate which is 2mm, a top plate which is also 2mm. I mean, it's well worth the money if you can get it, but good luck on that. I don't think you get it anymore. And on the other end, we have this guy, which is the JB edition, different version, variation of the QAV-S. Very nice frame, very beautiful. Everything look pretty neat on it. The carbon fiber look very nice compared to this one. But as I say, this one, it may not look as good, but you cannot break this guy. And as you can see, I have the FATEC in it, the whole FATEC stack. That's how much I trust it. But today we're gonna be retiring this drone, retiring the frame actually, and we're gonna put it on this guy, and we're gonna see if it's gonna fly any better. Personally, I don't think the fly gonna get any better because I believe that the way your drone fly is mostly due to your electronic. So I'm not expecting to get a much better flying drone on this guy. But enough talking, let me go ahead and move everything from this drone to this drone. All right, folks, so the transplant is done. Everything that was on this frame has been moved to this frame, except for the Gopro Mount. This one won't fit on this guy, so I had to come up with a new Gopro Mount. Surgery didn't go as smooth as expected. I ran into some complication, and that is primarily to do with how tight this frame is. Everything is pretty tight on this frame compared to this guy, which was pretty much wide open. So I had to find a way to squeeze everything in. I'm able to do it, but you can see it is a tight fit. So if you're going to be getting a QAV-S JB edition, or just I think maybe the QAV, the regular QAV, you got to take that into consideration. Now I'm expecting to see some different fly characteristic, primarily because this thing is so tight. It is a low profile frame. And also if you look at the arm, the UAV Classic is more of a stretch X, while the QAV-S JB edition is more of a squish X. So that should be making some change on the flight. As far as weight goes, I'm pretty surprised. The weight is pretty much the same, and everything that was on the UAV when I weighted it with a battery came up to 647, and with the QAV-S the weight ended up being 643. So I think one of the main reasons is that I'm using a much heavier GoPro, and also I got some landing skid on this, where on this one I was just using regular foam. So I think that's where some of the weight coming from. But it is done. Let me put a battery on it and we'll see how it fly. So one thing I decided to do is that I'm not gonna be putting the fly footage of the build with the UAV classic frame, and the reason I'm not doing that is that first, I don't want to make this video longer than it need to be, and second is that I had that frame for so long that I had everything tuned for that specific frame. But since I'm switching frame, I decided to go back on stock BRD on KISS. So I felt like that should give the JB frame a much better chance to actually show what it can do instead of me running the JB frame on a PID that was set up for a different frame. Now the real question of this video is really, does the JB frame fly better than the UAV Classic, or does a more expensive frame fly better than a cheaper frame? The answer really depends. The reason I'm saying that the answer depends is because when you look at both frames, they are physically very different. The UAV Classic frame has a X stretch configuration on the arm, while the JB frame has a squish X. And I actually never thought this would make much of a difference, but flying the JB frame, the drone feels a lot more responsive. My roll, my pitch, my yaw seem to be going much faster, and I believe that is primarily due to the different configuration on both of the frame. Another thing also is that the JB frame has a much lower center of gravity just because it is a low profile frame. So the center of gravity on both frames are very different, and that is one of the reasons, like when I'm flying this build with the JB frame, the build actually feels a lot lighter, even though when you look at the weight of both builds, they're pretty much the same weight. One was 647 and the other one was 643, so the weight is pretty much the same. But when you're flying the drone feels a lot lighter with the JB frame, and I just believe it's just because of the physics of the frame. So the center of gravity is in a different location, and I believe the center of gravity is a lot more center in the drone since everything is so squished, and that as a result has a much different flying feel. I won't say that it flies better than the UAV frame, but what I would say is that it definitely flies different, and I actually like the way it flies. The drone feels a lot more agile. Another question we gotta wonder is that, do you actually need a $70 frame? Do you actually need a $100 frame? I mean, it's just up to you, guys. It's just up to you, because there is actually a bunch of good cheap frame on the market that fly pretty good. For example, you got the Source one from TBS that has been out for years now, and I know a lot of people fly them, and a lot of people are very happy with those frames. You got also the Rotor Riot, I think it's the LC1, another $30 frame that is pretty much a tank. I got one of them, I cannot break it, and people have been flying those suckers for years, and they are flying pretty good. So a more expensive frame will not really give you a better experience as far as flying goes. It may give you a different flight characteristic, but as far as flying goes, you won't get any better by buying a more expensive frame than getting a good cheap frame. That's pretty much where I am right now. The UAV frame was a pretty good frame. Actually, if it was still in production, I would buy another one because I have flown this frame for so long. I'm so used to it, but it was just time to retire it. But in the other hand, the JB frame is a good frame, a little more expensive, and it's gonna be a little more expensive to maintain too, because you gotta think about it. If you crash and break one of the arm, I believe the arm to replacement arm about like $10, so that's gonna be a lot more money on you. While if you got a cheaper frame, a $30 frame, a $35 frame, like in the case of the UAV, I could basically buy two of those frames to make up for one of the JB frame. So I hope that you kind of get an idea where I'm going to that, guys. Just fly whatever you want to fly. You don't need an expensive frame to enjoy this hobby. You'll be fine with a cheaper frame. I got this frame, I'm enjoying it, I'm gonna be flying it. But bottom line is, I have started moving. When I started this hobby, I was getting a cheaper frame, but lately I started moving in a more premium frame, but I really don't feel like I need to go that way anymore. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my next build is going to be another cheap frame. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video.